China already has surpassed the United States as the major economy in the world. Several data statistics show that America cannot compete with China anymore. And if you don't believe that China is wiping the floor with America, watch this mind-blowing 15 list facts and data that proves China is absolutely destroying America. Stay until the end because the fact 14 will shock you and reveal the rise of the Chinese economy and the downfall of the US. But before that, make sure to subscribe to this new channel to see more videos about economy and interesting economic facts from around the world. Also, if you're interested in learning how to make more money, check out the link below to see the best way. So, here are 15 signs that China is absolutely destroying America. 1. According to the Supply Chain Vulnerability Index, the United States is the country most exposed to global supply chain disruptions, while China ranks as the second most secure, behind only Germany. The map representing the Supply Chain Vulnerability Index shows how the United States is the most vulnerable country in the global supply chain, with a score of 38.35, and at the end of the spectrum is China, with a score of 98.65. 2. U.S. trade deficit with China has become the largest trade deficit that one nation has with another nation in the world. Since 2010, U.S. trade deficit with China has been around $300 billion per year. This means that the Chinese economy is much stronger than the American economy. 3. Over the past 2 decades, China has displaced the US to become the manufacturing workshop of the world. China has created a manufacturing ecosystem that allows it to dominate the production of almost everything, and China became the world's largest manufacturer, accounting for 29% of global manufacturing value added. During that time, the US share dropped from 26% to 17%. 4. China has overtaken the US and now is the number 2 industrial economy more competitive in the world. According to the most recent data from the Competitive Industrial Performance Index, which benchmarks the ability of countries to produce and export manufactured goods competitively, the US dropped from number 1 in 2000 to number 6, while China rose from 23rd to 2nd place, behind only Germany. 5. China has overtaken the US to become the number 1 trading partner of most nations in the world. When China entered the World Trade Organization in 2001, the number 1 trading partner for most nations was the United States. Today, the world's predominant trading partner is China. By 2020, 130 countries traded more with China than they did with the US. And more than 2/3 of those countries traded more than twice as much with China. In addition, with the launch of Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP, on January 1 of 2022, China has also now surpassed the US as the leader of the world's largest free trade bloc. 6. In 2020, for the first time since the Fortune's Global 500 ranking was launched, China supplanted the US as the home to the largest number of the most valuable global companies. 20 years ago, this ranking included only 10 Chinese companies. Now, China topped the list with 124 companies, ahead of the US's 121. The big takeaway, as Fortune put it, is that the American century has at last given way to a new reality. 7. China tops the list for mine production and reserves of rare earth elements, having the double reserves of the 2nd place on the list and more than 29 times the United States reserves. In case you don't know, rare earth elements are a group of metals that are critical ingredients for a greener economy and that will become more valuable than ever in the future. To give you an idea about China's relevance, it produced 85% of the world's refined rare earths in 2020. 8. China is dominating renewable energy. Today, China is the undisputed leader in solar installations, with over 35% of the global capacity and more than 3 times the American capacity. And what's even more important, the country is showing no signs of slowing down. It has the world's largest solar project in the pipeline, which can boost its leadership in the solar industry even more. 9. China simply dominates global maritime trade. Of the 10 largest ports in the world, 7 are Chinese. And of the 5 largest ports in the world, 4 are Chinese. These numbers clearly show China's dominance in world maritime trade. And to demonstrate American weakness, the United States don't have any port on that list. In case you don't know, around 90% of traded goods are carried over the seas. As such, the oceans provide the main transport for global trade. 10. According to data from the International Monetary Fund, the average purchasing power of Chinese consumers is 1.18 times higher than the purchasing power of US consumers. Besides that, according to Morgan Stanley, by 2030, China's private consumption is set to reach $12.7 trillion, about the same amount that American consumers currently spend. In that scenario, not only the total amount spent will be equal, but the Chinese consumers will be stronger than American consumers. 11. China is the most populous country in the world, with over 1.4 billion people. This is over 4 times bigger than America's population. These numbers shows that China has an enormous advantage over the United States when it comes to demographic threats and low fertility rate. 12. China has now accumulated more than $1 trillion of US national debt in its reserves and takes a second spot behind Japan among foreign holders of US debt. Some analysts and investors fear that China could weaponize its large holdings of US debt, selling its reserves suddenly in an attempt to destabilize the US economy. In the short term, as US bond prices fell due to the selling pressure, their yields would increase. Those increases would likely increase interest rates on many types of loans and potentially hurt economic growth in financial markets. 13. According to World Bank data, each passing year, the Chinese GDP is getting closer to the US GDP. In 1960, China's gross domestic product was approximately 11% of the US GDP. By 2021, that number jumped to around 70%, increasing more than 6 times and showing the Chinese economic power. And before we show you the most shocking stat, don't forget to like the video so we can bring you more relevant content. Also, if you're interested, check out the link below to see how to start your online business just as I did. 14. Perhaps the most surprising fact that shows the power of China over America is that China has replaced the US as the primary engine of global economic growth. Since the 2008 financial crisis, approximately 1/3 of all growth in the world's GDP has occurred in just one country, China. Thus, when nations around the world assess their prospective growth in the years ahead, the first economy they think about is China. What this means for global geopolitics is profound. As this graphic from the Harvard University shows, China's rise has created a new world economic order. And 15. Finally, according to projections and data from the Center for Economics and Business Research, China's GDP should grow 5.7% per year through 2025 and then 4.7% annually until 2030. In that scenario, China will overtake officially the United States as the largest economy in the world by 2030. There will be no more discussion about metrics and speculations. China will surpass the United States in the number 1 in official economic metrics, the GDP. The hegemony of the United States will be officially ended. Well, now that you know more about how China is destroying the United States, please help this channel by telling us what other country or economic issue would you like us to analyze. Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to see new videos about economy and interesting economic facts from around the world. And don't forget to turn on that notification bell, and we'll see you in the next one. Until next time, goodbye.